It started with games. Simple things. Pixels, buttons, a bit of fun. Then, somewhere along the way, the big platforms moved in. Last year, $200 billion flowed upwards, away from the people who actually play. This year, they take it back. YOM, where players play games straight from your PC, not a data center in Virginia. Meet Tyler Pemberton. Yes, this looks dramatic, but he's perfectly fine. Tyler's offline. His PC isn't. 47 players streaming from his GPU right now. Even AFK, Tyler's rig is pulling its weight. He's making money in his sleep. Maybe this is what happens when gamers finally take control of their own world. Turn your idle GPU into passive income. YOM.net. Eat, sleep, earn, repeat.
Good evening, everybody, or afternoon, or early morning, depending on where you are in the world. Good to see you all here again. We're going to give it a few minutes for people to join us because we get a big crowd in after we start off for a little bit. But if you don't know who I am Jeff Outlaw. I am the CXO here at YOM. I'm trying to get control of my screens here. There we go. So as Chief Experience Officer, I do a bunch of stuff, including some strategy stuff and the guy with the gaming experience. So I thought what we would do today is I'll give a quick update on the project and let everybody know where everything stands. We've got some things that are spinning, lots of plates that are spinning, and it's a lot going on for the community's sake. But I wanted to jump into the news about the Xbox Game Pass because like a week ago, last week, I went into the whole Amazon Luna changes that they had made and how it really just kind of supports the thesis that we have that all these centralized servers, centralized cloud gaming systems, they're not going to work. They're going to run into all kinds of cost problems. They're not going to scale correctly. We know this. Well, it turns out that really what Xbox is saying with their changes, it just further adds to what we keep on saying is when they centralize, it doesn't work. And people who've been tuning in for a little while, they know I like to rank on Microsoft. I'm going to kind of hold an olive branch out today. I'm going to not be as caustic as I guess I generally am. I'm not going to be laughing at them as much as I generally do, because I think what they're not recognizing, and I'll show you where I mean this, is something that we can help them out with. So that's kind of what we're going to get to. But first, before we do all of that, let me jump into what I normally jump into, and that is our Walter images. So YOM is a decentralized cloud gaming network. We have our own mascot, and it is Walter here. Walter is a rust-colored gorilla, slightly overweight. He wears a white t-shirt and jeans, round blue tinted sunglasses, and people in our community just generate their own images of Walter to kind of add to the whole library of Walter images. This one I thought came out real slick. I do like he's got a very laid-back attitude. We like to think that Walter is sort of like the dude from The Big Lebowski. He's very chill. He just knows the inevitable is going to happen. Inevitably, everyone's going to get to decentralized gaming because it's really the only way that these systems will scale correctly. So he's very much just accepted that, good things come to those who wait. It's a great image of Walter. I appreciate this one. This is from Comrade BCEVM. I don't know how you're going to pronounce that, but give him a like, give him a follow. It's very nice of him to come up with this one. We're going to also show this one here. Walter getting ripped in the gym, massive reps. Walter does take care of himself, although he can't really help. He's slightly overweight. What's a guy going to do? At a certain age, you just can't lose it. But it's a great image. Thank you so much. Live to be healthy, YOM is what DEVV 34 says. So give him a follow as well. And the last image, the one that I thought was the best image of the week so far, is this one here. It's just the town hall, the various images of Walter in the various forms that he could take, and all the different graphic styles. I appreciated this one very much. This was from Mahmood. So I appreciate it, Mahmood. Again, if you haven't followed him, you should give Mahmood a follow. We appreciate all these pictures of Walter. If you want to get involved in this contest and perhaps see your image of Walter featured on one of our town halls, drop it into any one of our, respond to really basically any tweet that we put out there with your own Walter image, and we'll see if we can't get it up in the podcast. All right, let me jump into a little bit of the project news because some people are tuning in to hear about what's going on. So where we stand now, we have if you haven't followed so far, we have an alpha network set up. We have some nodes operating. This is all in a test network that's it's worldwide. We've got some in Europe, some in North America, South America, India, and we have some in Asia. That network is a test network, and we're getting from version 1 to version 2. This is a major upgrade. This is a large change to the way that we're orchestrating it, to a lot of the optimizations that we're doing to make the network even faster. We've already accomplished a 45-minute session. Someone streamed over 250 kilometers for 45 minutes at an average of 7 milliseconds. It's just phenomenal speed that we're already seeing. What we're doing with this scale up, and I'm sure Rohan will add more flavor to this, our CTO. But this is going to allow for better optimization, that meaning more streams per node, even faster latency. But although 7 milliseconds, I mean, it's not really, you don't really have to do much more than just that. So this news, but really it's going to be, and bring the energy down to the energy usage down for each unit too. That's a big thing for us as well. Anyways, this new update is going live this week. We're already putting it on some of the alpha test network nodes. And then, we're going to be giving a shakedown, make sure that it stays stable and everything's working as we expect it to be working. That's expected to take this week and next. At the end of next week, we expect that version is going to be shippable. And at that point, we've got drives already on standby, getting ready to be flashed, and we'll be shipping out for those people who first purchased through Fresh Miners. We'll get those nodes out. And this is a big thing for us because obviously, the more nodes we have active on the network, the more gamers can actually reach the network and play. And again, just makes us more and more attractive to all the game studios who want to get on our network. Like I said, we've already got like 40 studios kind of sitting in the wings saying, can we get on the network? And we're like, well, we're still testing the final version, the live version. So that is where the node shipment is sitting right now. If you are interested in operating a node in your region and earning passive income from your gaming rig, what you should do is go to app.yom.net/rigcheck. There's an app there called the Rig Check, and what that does, it allows you to test your machine to see whether or not your machine is powerful enough and your network connection is fast enough, and about approximately how much money you'd be making per month in passive income were you to be running your node. You can designate, I want to run it 8 hours a day, either while I'm asleep or at work, or you can designate it to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you've got an older box that's sitting around not getting used and you just want to earn passive income every day from your unit at home. Anyways, that Rig Check is available to you. You should be running it on the system that you plan to use. So if you're saying that, I have this unit that I don't game with anymore because I've got upgraded my machine, I want to turn that into a node, that's a machine you have to get online with and hit that app check, the app.yom.net Rig Check, run it off of that unit that you plan on running to see again, what you could be earning from your unit. And it scales. So the faster your GPU or the better your GPU is, the more streams you can concurrently run, therefore the more that you'd be earning. So anyways, that's there available. I'll put the link to the Rig Check into the very first comment of this video on YouTube. So if you're curious and you didn't get what I'm saying, app.yom.net/Rig Check. If you didn't want to find the link, it's going to be in the first comment. I said last week I'm going to slow down and not talk so fast, but again, I get excited. Okay, so that was two pieces. And then the third piece is about the TGE. Everyone's kind of waiting for when's the TGE going to launch. We had to, if you followed along, we had to make sure that we reach all of the European regulations gates. And the last piece was the white paper to them. So they're reviewing the white paper now. This is from Micah. This is really, from what I understand, a formality. Once we get approval on the white paper, we're free to go. And then we'll see TG news that'll follow shortly after that. Whew. All right, so let's get into the news because this is really kind of very interesting to me. I did a deep dive in this let's see if I'll bring it up over here. In all this news that's coming out about the Xbox, the rumors that are coming out about the Xbox Game Pass. So here we go. So where the news is saying is that Game Pass is Microsoft is kind of figuring out that, hey, what we did recently by jacking up the price, that pissed people off. We get it. So we want to kind of pivot. They're trying to pivot. Some of the things that the rumors that they're floating out there are, hey, let's do a series of different tiers for people who want to play on our cloud. Let's get rid of everything that's not a first person. That's not a first that their developers haven't developed themselves, right? So get rid of all the games that, including apparently Call of Duty, but that they didn't develop themselves. They're going to try to get rid of all those. And only have Microsoft exclusive games on the network. That's one possibility that they're going to. They may decide to cap your hours in the same way that GeForce. I didn't realize this about GeForce Now. Even at the highest tier, you only get 100 hours a month. So even if you pay the most money, you only get 100 hours a month. So kind of capping how much you can game a month is one of the plans that Microsoft was looking at. They had an interview with Asha Sharma, who is the new CEO of the new Xbox CEO, and she kind of admits here that, hey, this pricing scheme that we put in place is this jacking up the price. That didn't work. that kind of made people angry. So maybe we don't do that, or maybe if we do that, we do it in tiers, so we still allow people to get in kind of cheaper if they want to get in cheaper. But for those people who are getting in cheaper, they're floating the idea of maybe you have to watch so many commercials in order to get that discount, or you have so many hours you can play a month, and if you want more hours you want to play, you have to watch commercials. So again, they're talking about how do we change the billing structure such that we don't get people to walk away from the idea of our Xbox Cloud. The thing about Call of Duty, what they're talking about in this article, and it's kind of a little bit sad, but again, it's antithetical to what a good cloud gaming network should do. They're getting rid of the games that are super popular. Call of Duty was very popular for them. A lot of people were using it on the game with the Game Pass, but it's also the one that cost them the most money because so many people were using it. It meant it was chewing up a lot of the game hours on the network. And again, this is Microsoft, who own Azure Cloud, right? They have you don't want to say infinite resources, but they've got massive data centers, and even they're realizing that, hey, this is really expensive to run games on this central server, or these centralized data centers. So the article talks about, okay, let's try this different cost structure, this different limiter, all these different ways to kind of carve out and cut into your playtime or your wallet, one of the two, without taking a look at what the real problem is. And the real problem is the technology doesn't work in the way that they've got it structured. If they're coming off of a central server, it's just not going to work. There was a second rumor that kind of floated around for a little while there, and that was about Netflix and Xbox kind of teaming up and saying, hey, why don't we work together? We'll bundle this stuff together. We'll have a cost structure that we can bundle together. And again, this whole article kind of does a boil down, and they're looking about, so this right here, let's experiment with different pricing models or tiered subscription plans or additional service integrations. We're talking about there's putting in commercials and that kind of thing. Nowhere in any of this do they talk about, like, maybe we should be looking at the technology that we're using, because it's really the hurdle that they're running into is that it's just too expensive to run these off of a central database, a central server. So they have to give up a little bit of the power. But this is where I'm going to throw the olive branch out there, and this is to Asha. If you're hearing this, or someone knows her and wants to reach out to her and let her know that I'm kind of holding out the olive branch from at YOM. You don't have to get rid of the centralized plan that you're talking about, but you really want to bring your cost down and reach right out to the edge of the people who are the gamers who are at the furthest reaches from your servers. A lot of players actually can't reach these Xbox servers. The lag is too much because the distance is too far. But if you want to get out on the edge and save yourself a whole bunch of money, you can augment what you're doing with an edge service like YOM. Like, use some of our nodes to be at that very far edge, save yourself all kinds of money. Then you don't have to worry about capping the amount of game hours, because for us, it's so much cheaper to run, right? Because we're not have to build the big data centers. We're not having to run all the cooling and all the construction costs, everything they go up against when they're doing these central servers. And then you don't have to give up your model entirely. You just have let YOM be some of your back end infrastructure. It's available. Give us a call, reach out to us. You can find us on LinkedIn. We've got plenty of our biz dev people are available to us. Easy to find. But that's my little olive branch to Microsoft and saying, yes, you are stumbling over some problems, and they're not. The problem is not your cost structure. The problem is your technology can't do what you want it to do, what everyone's wanting cloud gaming to do, because it's centralized. I mean, while I was doing all this research, coming up with all these other articles about, how bad it's getting with these. So apparently back in July of last year, the President of the United States, President Trump, passed an executive order that kind of streamlined the ability for companies to create data centers all over the country. And it wasn't to say completely deregulate it. There's still some regulations and things, hoops they have to go through. And it certainly did not outlaw the ability to protest against these data centers, thankfully, because plenty people are taking that up, right? They're protesting the idea of data centers because what the executive orders did was it kind of said, okay, well, it's going to be easier to get loans. It's going to be easier to start building power plants to power these data centers, and easier to get federal land and build your data center on federal lands. The U.S. is really going kind of all in on the data centers. But once again, the push for this was about AI. It wasn't about cloud gaming. So all these data centers that are getting built, and there's plenty of resistance to even building them, they're going to be sucked up by AI cycles, and the gaming industry is going to be shut out. So this is another reason why, with our network, which is strictly about streaming games from the edge, where we come in to solve the problem, the cost problem for all these other services that are trying to get their cloud gaming systems stood up and profitable, but still trying to do it through a central server, when they have to come to a realization that, hey, the right way to do this is to decentralize. I came to the end of all the stuff I wanted to talk about, and I did it a little bit too fast. There's more articles. I mean, it really is very easy to find. All you have to do, I mean, Food and Water Watch, of course, is going to have a little slant on it, but it's really easy to find anybody who's just kind of looking at the data center problem in the U.S. And it's not just here; it's happening in Europe. It's happening in lots of places where these data centers are coming into a lot of pushback on the idea of putting a data center close by. It eats up water resources. It eats up, land resources. So people are resistant to it. And then that all kind of is secondary to the idea that, hey, all this is about capturing our data and tracking us and all the other stuff that, of course, I have issues with. All right. So I'm open to questions. If there are questions out there, I usually on Wednesday nights, we get a smaller crowd than we do on Fridays. I do a podcast. I do this last year, the town hall, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then again at 6 p.m. Central European time on Fridays. Fridays, we generally try to have a guest. It's either someone from the staff or one of our partner projects comes on board. And I'll go over some of this data again on Friday too, if you've missed out on today's broadcast. But happy to take any questions if there are any. I don't see that a lot of people kind of jumping in. So, and last time I said this, I said, oh, everybody's so shy, but that turned out to be not the case. And then I got bombarded with questions, but that was on a Friday podcast where there's generally a larger crowd. If you have any thoughts at all about what Xbox is doing, what the Gamepass is doing, you can actually add them into the comments of this video as well. We're happy to kind of address them there. Yeah, I think I covered it all. It is an exciting time. It's an exciting time for us at YOM, because once again, all these different, I don't want to do that. All these different streaming services are running into the same wall that we say we ran into that. Well, I guess we did. When we first started out, the little bit of history on YOM, we were streaming, that the previous company was streaming metaverse spaces and doing these games, but they were buying time off of Amazon, I think, or no, I guess off of Azure. Anyways, it got cost prohibitive to host these large open world projects, even for people like they did one for TED Talks, and they did some stuff for the Dutch, I think it was a Dutch police department, a lot of different projects, but keeping them live off of a central server was just cost prohibitive. So everything that Microsoft and Amazon are running into, we ran into 5 years ago. and realize that the right way to do this is to go out to the edge, decentralize, pay people who have a GPU that sits idle when they sleep at night or when they go off to work. Give them some money to let us use their machine, network all those machines together into one big, LAN, but it's a decentralized network. And then use that network to power these games for people who want to play. The other thing that's important to realize, even with all these changes that Xbox is going to do to their Game Pass, it doesn't have the flexibility that we've set up with our system, in that we set it up so that you can stream your game through any URL inside of Telegram, inside of Discord, so the reach is much, much wider. The goal for us, on top of allowing people to play games they can't normally because we give them the hardware just on a virtual machine off the network, is the idea that I was going somewhere with this. Oh, right. That user acquisition is the big issue that game studios are having. Getting people to jump into their game as fast as possible with as little friction as possible is really the goal, to get a lot of these games adopted by players who haven't played them yet. So instead of people falling into the top 5 games over and over and over again, you send a link to your buddy on this new game that you found that's got a cool mechanic or something quirky about it. And instead of them downloading and installing it, they're just playing it inside the same Discord group that you and I are in, right? Or the same Telegram group. That makes the adoption, that makes the use of the game that much faster, and the adoption that much faster as well. And speaking of that, by the way, I wanted to tease, but I don't want to tease too much. We have something coming up in the next, let's say, month. Should be very exciting for everybody who's a gamer in the YOM community. We want to make sure that we kind of engage you guys a little more directly. So that's about all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon. But look for those announcements coming up pretty soon as well. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks everybody again for tuning in. We're gonna be live again on Friday at noon Eastern time or 6 p.m. Central European time. Tune in then. We'll have a guest. We'll talk more about the project's progress, and we'll go a little bit more into whatever I can find about this Xbox deal. Because again, right now it's all kind of rumors. They haven't decided on what they're going to do. All I know is they're all scratching their head thinking like, how can we carve up the how do we carve up our offering in a way that's financially available to people? How big was the distance on that? It was like 250 kilometers, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers anymore, JLo, but I can get them for us, or maybe one of the mods can jump in, because I know we cite this number a lot. That 45-minute session, it was pretty impressive. Okay, cool. So JLo just jumped in with a question. I probably should kind of read the question out loud. How big was the distance on that 45-minute session? 250 kilometers. And I want to say it was over 250 kilometers, but let's just be safe and say 250 kilometers from the user to the node that they're operating on. And what I'm told, by the way, it's not just distance. There's more factors in there about the latency, how it makes the latency fast or slow. If you live close by to a internet hub, like it's the amount of hops that will also affect the speed in which your session will run at. So if you have to hop through 3 different hubs, that'll actually obviously slow you down. So it could just be that this person lived close by to an internet hub, and that internet hub was quickly connected to our node. That could also be one of the reasons why. And I think one of the things that we do have is metrics about how many hops each of these streams take. So maybe I can get that information from the tech team too, and kind of put that out there in a press release. Cool. JLo, any more questions? Did I answer your question? I hope I got it for you. Looking over at the other streams to see who else might have a question. So JLo is over watching on YouTube. We got some people watching on X as well. And I don't know if anyone's watching on LinkedIn, but it could be. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much again for tuning in. We're going to be live again in 2 days. So tune into that session as well. And be good to yourselves. Drink lots of water. Be good to people around you. The world's going through some tough times, and wouldn't hurt to be nice to everybody around you, just to kind of spread some niceness around. And we will talk again next on Friday.